A start that couldn't get much better. The Owls beat a nationally ranked Philly rival on the road for its best start this century.
And women's hoops stayed on Broad in hopes for that third consecutive win, which didn't go in the Temple Owls' favor.
Tamar Stubbs, live from the Leah Corps Center. Later in the show, I'll be discussing Temple basketball and what the Owls have to do to stay alive in the American Conference.
And I'm Julia Green, live at the studio set. Later in the show, I'll take a look at Temple's assistant men's tennis coach and his battle with cancer. It led him back to doing what he loves. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of OwlSports Update. I'm Kayla Levine alongside Gabriel Liddington. Temple Hoops is approaching the finish line of the regular season for both teams, and it's not exactly how the Owls saw their seasons coming to an end.
Both squads have had a tumble throughout the season, but March is where it matters most. The American Conference tournament is on the horizon.
We are starting with the women. The Owls stayed on North Broad for a big-time conference matchup Wednesday night versus #1 team in the American right now, the Rice Owls. A 7 p.m. tip-off on Broad Street. The night started off strong with a three from Rice guard Dominique Enos, putting the Rice Owls up 5-2 early in the first. Now it's the Temple Owls and none other than Kayla Turner, who hits a big three, putting the Owls down by just one with 6:25 left in the first. Jumping to late in the second, it's Kennedy Clifton with a pass into the paint to Anaya Alexis for a clean jumper over Temple defender Jaleesa Molina. Fast forward to the second half, once again it's Kayla Turner with a quick and easy tip down the court for a bucket, hoping to inch the Owls back into arm's reach. Score is now 52-45 Rice. But it wasn't enough. It was all Rice from there as Clifton passes it out to Lou-Anne Batistone beyond the arc to keep the heavy lead. And to finish the night out with a win, it's a long lob pass down court and a quick layup, keeping that lengthy lead. That will do it for the Rice Owls Wednesday night at the Leah Corps Center. Final score 77-66 Rice.
Well, just consistency. And, in the locker room, I told them that, this is a talented team. But, you can't let a team take your superpowers from you. And so we've got to build that confidence up. We're a very fast team. We talked about pushing the ball in transition early on. When they decided to do that, we scored in transition. So we've got to make sure that we are confident in what we do and what we do well and stick to it.
We now move to the winning standings. Right at the top spot of the leaderboard, it's Rice with an undefeated conference record at 15-0. And just 3.5 games back are the ECU Pirates, who are currently 12-4. Next up, the Mean Green on North Texas to round out the top three. And we can't forget about the Temple Owls at 6-9, sitting in 8th.
Now for the men's squad on the road against the Wichita State Shockers. Jordan Mason starts us off early with the float as he led the charge in the first minutes of the game. And here he is again. He's going to get the mid-range here, but he wasn't able to keep this up as he only finished with 8. 17-17, and Aiden Tobiasen takes this downhill contact. No problem as he gets 2 of his 18. Mosiah Gilliard, the only player who scored off the bench this game, gets 2 of his 4. Depth has been a struggle this year. Into the second, and Kenyon Giles, he is the engine for this Shockers squad. With a deep ball hand in his face as well, he shot 50% from beyond the arc. And as I said, another 3 and another ridiculous make. Shot-making ability is just way too easy for him. He had 27. 60-47, and Aiden Tobiasen lets one fly, but it's not enough. Temple falls 69-57 for their 4th loss in a row. After that frustrating loss on the road, the Owls are on a slippery slope as they find themselves tied for 7th on a 4-game losing streak. Remember when this squad was 2nd? The good times. To top the table is USF led by Isaiah Nelson, who had 24 and 8 Wednesday night. Then 2nd is Tulsa, and this team can score. number 1 in the conference in three-point percentage and offensive efficiency. Then at third is Wichita State, the Owls' most recent loss. Temple sits in 7th place, a likely playoff team, but it will be a long road for the Owls when the postseason rolls around. There was a look at the 2 games for the Hoop squad, but let's take a look at what this all means for both teams.
Who better to talk to than Courts in Session beat reporter Tamar Stubbs. Thanks for joining us today, Tamar.
I'll start off with the men's squad. We've seen them start to skid in February with a 4-game losing streak. What is most accountable for this?
What's most accountable for this is the scoring. Darian Ford is their number 1 option, and he's been great so far. He's been the most consistent player on this team scoring-wise. We have to take a look into their number 2 option, Aiden Tobiason and Gavin Griffiths. In this 4-game losing streak, they have not been consistent scoring-wise, and they have to get back to how they usually are. They're hot guys, they're streaky guys, they're guys that can light up that scoring stat sheet. But now we have guys like Jordan Mason and Swish Gilliard doing a bulk of the scoring as a second option. And those are great players. Those are good players. But that's not going to get it done in the American Conference when you got guys like Aiden Tobiason and Gavin Griffiths on the roster and on the floor that has to step up scoring-wise.
Yeah, and then on the women's side, they've been up and down throughout the season, and Wednesday's loss to Rice shows us just how far ahead those other Owls are to the rest of the crowd. So where does that leave Temple, and if and when these local Owls make that postseason run?
It's going to be a hard position for the Owls, the Lady Owls, in that postseason run because I need to see more consistency on the offensive side of the ball from them. I don't really know what I'm going to get from a majority of those Owls, except for Sanaya Craig when she's battling in the paint and on the boards. Jaleesa Molina and Kayla Turner had a great showing against Rice yesterday. But I need to see more from that. I need them to maintain that throughout the rest of this season. And I need to see more contribution from the bench. When they come to the party, they can't come empty-handed. They got to bring some drinks. They got to bring some dip. They need to bring some chips to that party for them to even have a good run for the rest of the season and go into the American Conference Tournament.
Then back onto the men's side, you were talking about consistency, Tamar. Now that the season has completely taken a 180, what does this team need to do to make significant changes as they look towards the American Conference Tournament?
I need to see some mental toughness and physical toughness from this Temple Owls team on the men's side. When it comes to that, they cannot have great statistical categories. One, like they have great scoring on one, but they have bad rebounding. They need to put a full 40-minute game together. Again, they can't have a great statistical category on one side, then be lacking on another side. They have to put a good game together. That's how they're going to get wins. If they don't do it, they're going to be sent home, and it's not going to be good for the Temple Owls.
Thank you so much, Tamar, for joining us.
Nobody better in the game to talk about Temple basketball. Next time we see you, the Owls will be done with their regular season hoops. So let's talk about one of those games in the final stretch for the men.
Yep, Thursday night, Owls versus Owls, both teams trying to secure those playoff positions.
So the glaring issue is both teams are in a rut. Temple on a 4-game losing streak, and FAU, they've lost 7 of their past 8 games. Both teams really need to play into their strengths.
Yeah, and there's also positives for Temple. We've clearly seen their potential earlier this season. They have Darian Ford, who's the leading scorer on the team. He's averaging around 17 points per game. Gavin Griffiths, we know he's struggling right now, but we've also seen him play to his full potential. He's 5 rebounds and 2 blocks in the season so far. This team just needs to be healthy. We know they have the full potential.
And then on the FAU side, they're monsters defensively, but they've been struggling offensively. Defensively, they're 7th in the nation, number 1 in the conference. And they've got Devon Williams, number 2 in the nation in blocks per game. They should just play into a defensive, scrappy game. This game's going to be pivotal for both sides.
Yeah, and it's a key for both teams. We have the Owls versus the Owls. Both teams are coming off of that rut right now. They're both coming off of conference losses as well. So this is a race to the American Conference Tournament, and it's going to be a good one. So that's all the time we have for Temple Hoops today, though. Temple field hockey may be in their off season, and off the field, the Owls are still achieving, but this time in the classroom.
And the lacrosse team travels to West Philly for its first matchup against a nationally ranked team. It's Temple and Penn at Franklin Field. When we come back, don't go anywhere. Come back. The Owls on the road, but staying in Philly up against nationally ranked UPenn at Franklin Field. Owls up 1-0, and Sarah Gauman decides to make that 2 with the assist from Sabrina Martin. It's now going to be 4-0 to the Owls, but UPenn is ranked for a reason as Layla Green rifles one top left. Temple continues a barrage of shots, and here we go again. Gauman, as she gets the lead back up to 4 in the second. She tallied a career-high 5 goals in this one. Now 7-2, Olivia Nicole on the right side and gets one to go. This second quarter had 8 goals in it alone from both sides. Then talking about that second quarter, less than 2 minutes after Nicole's goal, the freshman Brooke Mazzy gets her own to hit the back of the twine. And the goals don't stop there. Lexi Culp gets one of her 3 in the hat trick, and the Owls get their best start to a season since 1998. The Owls undefeated 6-0 as they stopped the Quakers 14-9. Athletic excellence there for the lacrosse team, but there is another team on North Broad just as successful in the classroom. OwlSports Updates' Jaden Vallejo is live at the studio set to talk about the field hockey team. Hey Jaden.
Gabe, there really isn't much of an off-season for Division I athletes. Yes, the field hockey team is months away from their season opener, but this gives the Owls some extra time to focus on academics. Earlier this month, 23 Owls were recognized for their academic excellence as they continue to grind during midterm season.
It may be the off-season for the Owls on the field, but in the classroom, Temple's field hockey team has continued to excel. Last week, Temple announced 23 members of the team were named to the National Field Hockey Coaches Association Academic Squad for 2025. This association recognizes student athletes with a 3.5 GPA or higher, and about 85% of the field hockey team qualified. A major contributor to the team's academic accomplishments is the resources provided by Temple, mainly the Resnick Center, located inside Pearson McGonigal Hall.
One of the things I sell most from a recruiting standpoint is the academic support and that it's such at a high level.
Of the 23 members is senior Lena Nielsen, who made this academic team for the 3rd time in her collegiate career.
The Resnick Center is like one of the biggest contributors to my success and a lot of my teammates' success. From the second you get here, like make that transition from high school to college very smooth.
It isn't just in the classroom either. Goalie Alex Lepore and the team often spend their time on the road focusing on academics together to help maintain the standard.
We're all on our computers on the bus, we're all studying, and we're all going on each other's hot spots and just all doing our homework on the bus and in the hotels and just helping each other out sometimes.
How you do one thing is kind of how you do everything. So I think if you're sloppy, lazy, and undisciplined in one area of your life, I think it trickles into the other areas.
Lepore and the Owls have a long off-season ahead of them, which gives them plenty of time to work on academics before their time in athletics starts to rev up once again.
In addition to the academic squad, Lena and Alex were also 2 of 7 athletes named NFHCA National Scholars of Distinction, which requires an even more impressive 3.9 GPA. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Jaden Vallejo. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Jaden. We've seen nothing but snow here in Philly to start the semester, but the same can't be said for the men's golf team. The Cherry and White traveled to the Dorado Beach Collegiate in Puerto Rico. Jealous would be, an understatement. Next time, if you guys need a caddy, I'm always a call away. Despite the warm weather, the Owls were ice cold as they finished 13th over the 3-day trip. Mason Tomei had the best round of any individual Owl on the final day of the event. Tomei finished tied for 44th out of the 93 in the tournament overall, whilst Nicholas Pizarski was the leader for the Owls, finishing tied for 39th. Stetson finished at the top of the table, 15 under par, then Southern Miss at second.
Men's tennis has a special story within the coaching staff, and it shows just how perseverance can lead to success.
OwlSports Updates' Julia Green is live at the studio set to talk about the assistant coach. Hey, Julia.
Take the advantage.
Temple assistant coach Attican Gazer doesn't have time for things that don't make him happy. Cancer taught him this lesson very early in life.
When I was battling cancer, I kind of realized that life is too short.
Gazer battled Hodgkin's lymphoma in his sophomore year of college. Cancer ended his playing days, but it didn't end his time in tennis. Gazer put his international business degree aside and started to focus on the game he gave up too soon.
That point. Here we go. You know, we have to be grateful and thankful for every moment we have, and in this short life, I wanted to do something that I love.
When Atakin's career as a player had to come to an end, he then began coaching back in Turkey before heading to Washington and Lee, Tulane, and then finally here at Temple.
I think as a coach, he's very, very disciplined. He really comes every day, gives his best possible to make sure that we improve as a player and as a person.
See something else, maybe do some regular.
Gazer is teaching this Temple team to carry the same mentality onto the court that he learned through his battle with cancer.
Kind of similar to what we do in tennis, right? You just cannot worry about the outcome. You got to keep your spirits high, you got to stay positive during those treatments, and kind of similar to playing a match. Sticking together, coming together, embracing the fight together, and enjoying the moment, enjoying the battle.
Now in his first year at Temple, Gazer is helping his new team realize how special it is to compete in something you love.
Gazer and the Owls are back in action on Monday as they head to Orlando for a 4-match slate. Live from the studio set, I'm Julia Green, rallying it back to the desk.
Thank you, Julia. We are now up to our second break of the show, but don't go anywhere.
When we come back, they may be out for the season, but Temple football is still receiving excited news. We'll make it rain in 90 seconds.
Welcome back. NIL funding has become a catalyst for securing better players with the hopes of seeing more wins. OwlSports updates. Ashley Lovelace is live at the studio set to talk about a development in the Cherry and White's football funding. Hey, Ashley.
Thanks, Gabe. Let's just say Temple football isn't going into offseason empty-handed, and it's all tied to a bigger plan for the program as the Owls are not only competing on the field, but also trying to keep up financially.
Temple football got a present, a $500,000 present to benefit the players on the team. This anonymous gift comes to Temple through its relatively new Competitive Excellence Fund. It's all about revenue sharing in this NIL era, with the focus on building consistent yearly support from alumni.
It is not a one-time thing, so we need support yearly from our members. And this gift allows us to amplify our message, to elevate all of our conversations, and hopefully raise more support to support Temple athletics.
Some may recall a program called the Temple Tough Fund that was created at the start of the NIL craze. However, Temple curated an in-house model that simplifies operations to better support student athletes directly. That fund is now called the Competitive Excellence Fund. Head coach Casey Keeler says that investment is critical to compete in the American Conference. This fund is something he can sell when recruiting players.
Yeah, to be competitive in the American, there needs to be an investment. We just had the #1 recruiting class in the conference, and then we also had the #1 high school transfer recruiting class in the conference. Also, we didn't lose a single starter to the transfer portal, which is so unusual at our level.
Football isn't the only sport with such a fund. Both the men's team and women's basketball team also have their own fund, as Temple tries to improve its 3 revenue teams on North Broad.
Interested in investing in Temple's student athletes, you can visit www.templeowlclub.com/giving for more information. Reporting live from the studio set, I'm Ashley Lovelace. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Ashley. Over the weekend, Temple Fencing held its annual Temple Invitational at McGonigal Hall. The day consisted of 5 different teams showing off their capabilities late into the season. Sunday's Invitational at home honoring the team's seniors started off strong against Penn State with a 21-6 win over the Nittany Lions. The Foil squad had a dominating opening start as they capitalized on an 8-1 victory, having all 5 of their players finishing the day with winning records. Against third-ranked Princeton, the Owls fell by just 1 point with a final score of 14-13, despite winning in the Foil and Sabre. In the Owls' second win versus the other Philly school in UPenn, which resulted in a final score of 16-1. The Foil squad showed exactly how dominant it is in the meet, winning 9-0, and the day concluded with Temple's 3rd win over St. Joe's, 17-10.
We are now at our final break of the show.
When we come to OwlSports Update, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Women's gymnastics hit the floor against Eastern Michigan at McGonigal Hall this past Friday. The meet consisted of a season-high total score on the day for the Owls. But it started here with junior Megan White, who finished beam with a score of 9.6. and on the floor, the team scored a 48.825. Now we flip over to bars, where sophomore Robin Dunn finished with a 9.850. Temple finished the day with a final score of 48.5 on bars, and as for the rest of the day, Temple finished ball on first place of a score of 194.575 on North Broad.
The Winter Olympics have been, dominating the headlines this month, and there is some Olympic royalty in the nest. The track and field team might just have the best mentor in the business, with some experience on the biggest stage.
From the Olympic stage to North Broad, Temple track and field head coach Elvis Ford has been leading the Owls since 2014. From St. Andrews, Barbados, Ford specialised in 400 metres and was good enough to represent his country 6 times. Now in the Owl's nest, he's not only a coach, but a mentor.
I want to be a teacher. That's always my first way of approaching anything, to be a teacher, because if you're not being able to teach, it's hard then to try to be a good coach as well.
Coach Ford won a bronze medal in the 1985 and 1986 Caribbean and Central American Championships, but also won gold in 1987. But that's not it. He also represented Barbados on the Olympic stage in 1984 and 1988.
Under his guidance, the Owls are an improved program. For example, in 2020, Temple finished a program best 3rd place at the American Athletic Indoor Championships.
The day he has nothing to say is like the day that he won't care anymore.
The former Olympian has more than 30 years of experience in coaching and continues to elevate each squad he's joined.
He stresses the little things to us, and I just appreciate that as a coach, because now that we're at the next level, it's the little stuff that really counts.
Some of it is recorded on the athlete too. What do I want to get out of this? Do I want to just be a member of the team, or do I want to be a contributor? And if they want to be a contributor, they got to do all the little things when we're not watching.
Ford started his coaching journey at Austin Peay State in Tennessee. From there, he made a home at Illinois State before finally coming to the East Coast to join the Cherry and White, where he is now one of the most tenured coaches in Temple's athletic department.
I spoke about the history Ford made in the American Conference Track and Field Championships 6 years ago, and the Owls have another opportunity to prove themselves. On Friday, the Owls will compete in this season's day-long indoor championships down in Alabama.
And always for the weekend calendar, it starts on Friday, where lacrosse stays on Broad as Delaware State is looking, Delaware State is looking for their 7th consecutive win. Moving to Saturday, fencing crosses the bridge for the NIWFA Championship, and follow women's down south, who travels down south for the UAB for a 3 p.m. tip-off. And finally on Sunday, men's hoop takes on the other Owls in Rice at 2 p.m. right here on North Broad.
That's all we have for this edition of OwlSports Updates. Hopefully, next time you see a team go to Puerto Rico, you'll see me with them. For more updates throughout the week, make sure to keep up with us on all social platforms at OwlSports Update.
For our entire crew in TV3 studio, I'm Kayla Levine and he's Gabriel Linnington. Have a great and possibly warm spring break. We will see you soon.